Welcome to the Under the Halo July edition. My name's Kevin. I'm in the studio with Mark Harper, Jeff Nobes and Matt Stewart. I'm going to be asking them some questions on Southampton Football Club, and I'm going to see what their reactions to these questions are. First question will go to Matt Stewart. Your reaction to the appointment of Maurizio Pellegrino as the new Southampton boss?
I think it seems a good appointment. I didn't know a lot about him until he was rumoured for the job, and even then some of the digging I've done hasn't been too extensive, but certainly the things that he's been saying in the interviews and to the press and everything, I think it's been quite positive, and he's certainly won me over with the appointment already, so hopefully that'll translate into the results for the pre-season and into the season.
What's your opinion of this, Jeff?
Well, much like a lot of the other Saints managers' appointments, I hadn't really heard too much about Maurizio Pellegrino prior to his appointment, but from what I've heard, I've been quite impressed by his personality, should I say. I think I'm a fan of a manager who's got a personality, and kind of it rubs up on the fans when you can see how much it means to them, and they're not just there to take a paycheck. I think certain managers, I won't mention any names, seem to have a bit of a dry personality. I like a manager who wears his
Heart on his sleeves, yeah.
And I don't know if you're aware, but there was a story that I read somewhere that when he was on a touchline once trying to get his points across to his players, he dislocated his elbow or shoulder,
yeah.
Which I'm quite impressed by that. If that's the kind of manager we've brought to Southampton, as a fan, I'm excited to see, what his passion and determination can do to the players and rub off on him in the dressing room. Mm-hmm. I'm quite excited by that, and I like his. He seems to be quite positive.
Yeah.
And. Yeah, so it all remains to be seen what he will do, because he hasn't been here long. But signs are good, and hopefully he can become a good manager for us.
What's your opinion of Maurizio Pellegrino, Mark?
Pleased to have him at the football club. I think that it's someone who will communicate with fans, players, the media even. I also think that, given that he likes to play a 4-2-3-1 system, mainly with a target man, I think that may help us as a squad of players going forward, because we've played that system before, and to a greater degree it's worked. So it's all positive for me. You've had Sid Lowe, who's a Spanish football writer, has wrote many articles about Pellegrino and has been singing his praises, along with Tim Vickery, who's actually the South American BBC football correspondent. So it's all sounding very, very good. DM Balaga on Sky Sports singing his praises, and also Graham Hunter when he was doing the review of the Spanish football season. Pellegrino got mentioned in dispatches for his work at Alves.
Are you happy that he's got like a 3-year contract? Do you reckon it should have been longer, Jeff?
No, I think 3-year contract is spot on. I mean, I think we all know that the managerial merry-go-round is football nowadays. That logically you'd think that he might not be here for the 3 years because you have a good season or a couple of good seasons, then somebody wants to come in for you and they want you. But I think that can work in the club's favour because obviously if after say 18 months he wants to go to something else or someone comes in for him, then the club then get money from the other club to pay off his contract or whatever, and then potentially it could almost pay for a percentage of the next manager's contract. So I think it's a bit like when Saints sign players, they put them on long-term deals because then it makes it. You'd like to think it would make it harder for the other teams to sign your players and take your managers and people off you, but ultimately it's security for the player and also some security for the club because it means that. Well, basically means that if someone does come in for him, whether it's a manager or a player, then the club don't lose out. So yeah, I think that's good. Whereas if they offer him too long a contract, there's no need.
The thing is, like, he's got a 3-year contract, so like he could have a really impressive first season, and then like because he's only got 2 years left on his contract, somebody else could like possibly go in for him. That's
a very interesting thing that I've noticed is that in all his appointments as manager, he's never stayed longer than a season.
That's a good stat.
Very interesting when he was either in Argentina or Spain. So it will be interesting to see.
Well, it's always about progression nowadays for managers anyway. I mean, I think the thing is in South America, his record wasn't tremendous. I mean, he was the manager at Independiente, and it wasn't really great. It's only sort of since the last season with Alaves that things seem to have taken off. But I think, given the circumstances that we have had with the previous few managers, I think he'll stay. He'll stay for the 3 years. But I think if you're going to push beyond that, the chances are, he may look to get out the front door. I just think that when you're appointing foreign managers, you can't put them on long-term contracts anyway, because like we're in broad agreement about, they have one successful season and another successful season. The chances are they're going to move to another.
I mean, that seems to be the culture for that kind of the sort of foreign managers thing now is often to have. I mean, you look at the foreign ownership now in the Premiership, and they're very much, going to move people on after a season or two if they're not doing very well. It's very cutthroat, and it's all when it's the other way with success, it's almost very cutthroat, and the clubs get left behind. But then, as Jeff was saying, the whole point is that there is something in there for us if he did decide to up sticks.
To me, I know Mark was saying that he didn't have a very good record at Independiente. His win ratio was 51%, whereas win ratio was only 38% at Alaves.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, I know it's win ratios, but when you actually look at, he was sacked from Independiente. He didn't actually stay there, I mean, his actual win ratios, when you look at it, are very, very impressive.
His overall win ratio is 43%.
Yeah,
not bad.
Which is decent.
Which in my eyes, I don't think is strong enough, because you have a look at, say, someone like Koeman, his win ratio at Southampton was like 48%, and Claude Puel was only 42%. So, do you think that will have a bearing on our season?
I don't. I think he will be keen to do well, not just for the club, but for himself. The thing is, and the one thing that seems to come across when people are talking about him is he has a will to win, and he hates losing. That's the one thing that comes across. He hates losing, and I'm excited about it because he believes in high pressing the ball, which we've seen Saints do before to great effect.
Okay, I'm going to wrap that question up. I'm going to go on to the next question. The fixtures for the next season are out. Your thoughts, Matt Stewart?
It's interesting that we've obviously had the West Ham game reversed, so having 2 home games early on. To be honest, there's not really much more to say than we've played them all twice, and it's the same for every team, isn't it? And I think, looking at it, we had quite a hard run in for the season, especially away from home as well, I think. it was looking quite difficult. But the start of the season looks, on paper, a good enough start, and hopefully it should allow the new manager and the team playing under him to settle in quite quickly, and that actually might really be a useful point for the rest of the season.
Your opinion on this, Jeff?
Yeah, just like obviously where the West Ham fixture's been swapped round, playing the first 2 games at home, I think it's an opportunity to hit the ground running, potentially get a few wins behind us, and get the wind up our back and push on really. The other thing quite excites me, just from a fan's point of view, is a trip to Wembley on Boxing Day. I think that's quite a nice Christmas present, to go to Wembley on Boxing Day. I know some fans would have another spin on that and think, it's difficult travelling on Boxing Day and things like that, but I think that's quite a nice thing to look forward to, the trip to Wembley on Boxing Day. That's quite good.
What about yourself, Mark?
Right, so I think it's an opportunity to make a great start, bearing in mind that 3 of the first 4 games are at home. For me, the only real difficult fixture, having looked at it, would be Saturday. The first real difficult fixture would be Saturday the 18th of November.
Mm-hmm.
And that's away at Liverpool. I know we've got to play Manchester United at home before that, but I always say you should be hopefully getting something out of your home games anyway. The difficulties for me come always in the December, because that's the month where you play the most games in the league, and this year's no exception. You got 7 league games in that month. And the other thing to bear in mind as well in relation to the fixture list is, while we do have 3 of the first 4 at home, we'll have a period, I think, between something like the 12th of March to the 7th of April, where we play 4 away games in a row. And I know 3 of those away games are against Swansea, West Ham and Arsenal. I can't remember who the 4th club is, but that's going to be one hell of a test if we're in any kind of shape going into those 4 fixtures.
I would like to say that I'm quite excited about the fixtures. I think we've got a great chance of getting the points on the board early. I'm really excited, so hopefully we can get 9 points on the board straight away, I reckon. I'm being a bit optimistic, but
Top of the league after 3 games.
Yeah.
That'll do. That's a good start.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question. The selling of Jay Rodriguez, was it good business or bad? And also, do we need to bring in a striker or replacement? Matt Stewart.
Good business. I don't think we can argue about that. Personally, I'm sad to see him go. But I can understand why, and I think he's very much looking for more opportunities. It kind of showed, obviously, with him leaving, even with the new manager coming in, that he didn't obviously feel that Southampton was the right place for him to be playing in the future, which is a shame. But obviously he had a horrific injury while he was here, and the 13-14 season was a great season for him, and I think if he can start to get back on the road to that sort of form again, West Brom have got a fantastic player. But the money that we got for him, we can be really well invested in the club, and I think overall it was the right thing to do.
Do we need a new striker or replacement, Matt?
I certainly wouldn't say no. My sort of opinion on the striking options is be very interested to see where Sam Gallagher fits in this season. Obviously he's just signed a new contract, so they obviously think he's going to be part of the future. Whether he's going to be part of this season remains to be seen. I'd personally love him to be fighting for chances and that, and I think he could offer something different to what we were lacking, especially last season. Whether he's going to be good enough to cut it in the Premier League remains to be seen.
Okay, Jeff, what's your opinion on both questions?
When we signed Rodriguez from Burnley, he was supposedly a highly rated young player. He was unproven in the Premier League. I think we paid $6 million for him or something like that, I think it was. 7 million for him. And he come in and he played very well, became a good player, scored lots of goals and done a lot for us before we got a bad injury. And he made the England team with us. I mean, potentially if he hadn't got injured, we could have ended up we could have got more out of him, or he could have got a bigger transfer fee. But I mean, to buy a player for 7 million, get what we got out of him, and he achieved with us what he achieved, and then to sell him for, what was it, 12 million?
Yeah.
It's cracking business, because you've doubled your money on a player, despite the fact he's scored a lot of goals for several seasons and played well with you and made the England team. But I think it's also a good move for the player himself, because he's had a bad time with injury and he hasn't been quite the same player since. And I don't think he had enough game time with us this season just finished. He needs regular game time because he needs that to try and get back to where he was. And I think it's a make or break season for him in his career. I think, to move away, I think it's a good thing for him, because I think if he can play more regularly at West Brom, then the goals come, then he could get his confidence back. But I don't see how he can get back to where he was without regular game time, and he wasn't getting that with us. So I think it's a question of thanking him for everything he's done and wishing him all the best. Really, I think it's a good deal for both the club and the player.
Do we need a striker replacement?
I'm going to say yes, because I think every time you lose a player of some significance, you don't replace that player. It creates frustration in the not so much the team, but amongst the fans, and I also feel that when you let quality players go, I know he's been injured for a while, but when you're letting big names go, you've got to be seen to be replacing your players, because I think it's just otherwise it's a bit negative. But I also, having said that, I do think it's a season for me this year. I'd like to see Sam Gallagher be given a chance, come back from Blackburn. I look at Sam and I think, well, you were a young player with us before you went out on loan. You've gone out on the championships or Blackburn. You've scored goals regularly. You've proved yourself as a good young player in the championship. And now we bring you back to us. And really, it's no different to when Rodriguez first came to us. You're not proven in the Premiership, but look what Rodriguez done. So a player's not going to prove himself. He's not given a chance. I'd like to see Sam Gallagher get a good chance this season. But that's not to say I wouldn't like to see a striker being brought in as well, because I think you have to take into consideration injuries, suspensions, people's general fitness and all that kind of thing as well.
Right, I'm going to ask Mark, who would he like to see as a replacement? And then I'm also going to ask him, was it good business? And also, do we need strengthening or not?
I think if you're getting rid of a player of quality, then you have to replace that player. I'm not saying similarly, but that player does need replacing. I just also think it comes back to options. I mean, we've seen what deficiencies we had, last season in relation to players being sold and then not having the depth of squad and replacements wise, and struggled slightly as a result. But having said that, on J Rod himself, I would say from the first podcast, I told you so. Right? And I have no problem with it at all. He wasn't getting the game time here, and he deserves to get game time somewhere else. I'll miss him tremendously. I mean that generally. He wasn't a complainer within the squad. He got on with things. It was great to see him come back from such a horrific injury. So, I'm sure I speak for all of us when we all wish him well. But it's just one of those things. I wish he could have stayed, to be honest with you. I wish we would have been able to find a way of giving him more game time, but such is the nature. But yes, I do think if you're getting rid of a player with quality, you've got to be looking to replace,
In my opinion, I think we need to go out and get a player of his stature into our club. I think we need to be looking at like Iheanacho from Man City, or somebody just to go alongside Gabbiadini. Would you go along with that, guys?
Different kind of player. For me, I'm still keen to see if we can sort out either between the strikers that are there at the minute or someone else a target man, because Pellegrino likes to have a target man at the top, and I mean maybe he might find the answer while he's in Austria or France, but looking at it at the minute, we don't have that kind of centre forward. It remains to be seen whether Sam Gallagher can do that job. On that front, I would say interesting that he signed a new contract, because I would say he wouldn't have signed a new contract if he hadn't have been given assurances by the football club that he was going to get some kind of game time. And I find it strange that he's being linked already with being loaned out. Now, obviously, if they go to the training camps and, you know, they find that there's, say, he doesn't fit the mould, and then they decide to form him out, then fair enough. But I personally think he's been given assurances.
Is there anything you would like to add, guys?
Yeah, well, just briefly, looking at the list of the players that are going on the pre-season tour to Austria, it looks as if they've taken a few young players there, so it'd be interesting to see if any of those players can come in this season and maybe get some goals, or, you know, prove themselves as a good attacking player and give the team other options. That's all I was going to say, really.
Okay, I'm going to go on to the next question. Given the statement by Les Reed in regards to Southampton not selling Virgil van Dijk and Suarez, happy or not, Matt Stewart?
I don't think you can't be angry with that. You know, I think a lot of fans question his integrity on these sort of statements, but I think if that is the genuine plan, not to sell players, then that's great. I think, yeah, okay, we have heard similar before, and stuff has happened and players have gone. I think looking at the situation at the moment and what happened with Liverpool and the statement that they made about the Van Dijk situation, I think we have got a good chance of keeping him. I just hope that he actually still wants to be here and actually wants to play for us this season.
In my eyes, I think it was a bit comical, the way they wrote that statement out and on their official website, Liverpool. Anyways, I'm going to go on to Jeff.
Yeah, I'm pleased that Les Reed has come out and made that statement. I don't think there's many Saints fans that don't want him to stay. Do you know what I mean? But it remains to be seen whether the statement is to be of sound hearing and whether he is actually going to stay. But I think the signs are gradually getting better that he will, at least for maybe half a season or a season, because there's saying today that was it Matt, a couple of the big clubs that were after him have sort of signed defenders already or something, and Liverpool supposedly turned around and said that they're not interested in the player now. And he's gone on tour with them as well, so the signs are starting to look as if he will stay, at least for the time being. I think it really could make a big difference to us this year if he does stay.
Yeah.
Provided we can keep one or two other players too.
Yeah.
You know.
Mind you, we said that about Font last season, didn't we?
That's true, very true.
We did, yeah.
Mark, your opinion?
My opinion would be that it's good that Les Reed came out and made the statement about Van Dijk and Suarez. And I personally believe that both of them will stay. My take on it would be, after the summer shenanigans, let's put it like that, I think that it might be a question of the same situation that we had with Morgan and the same situation that we had with Victor, where it was a case of give us your best for a season and then you can get your move. But the underlying question for me is, do we as Saints fans sit here and think to yourself, right, it's great if none of the first team are moved out in the summer, right, and accept that as our summer business? Or do we sit here and we say, okay, so we've held on to everybody we wanted to hold on to, but in essence, to be able to make progression, you've still got to be moving. Therefore, either you get rid of players that are on the periphery and you bring other players in. But I'm just interested to see at the end of the transfer window what the club statement will be, because I have a feeling that it'll come out saying it's been a productive window because we've kept hold of all of our players. But I still think to myself, great, but you still want to see one or two, especially in Pellegrino's players, coming in through the door.
Do you reckon we need to go out and sign anybody, Matt?
To be honest, I'm always of the opinion that I prefer to see our academy come through. So I'd be more excited if that was the way we went, and obviously with this 2 contract extensions of Stevens and Gallagher, it looks like that. And obviously bringing in new centre half, is it Badnarak?
Yeah.
He's obviously quite young and obviously fitting in that mould of, you know, for the future, and I think that's obviously the way we're going to go. I mean, that again, obviously, in my opinion, helps with the fact that it looks like we'll be keeping our players, because that looks to be the tactic for this window, is to
Jeff.
keep it and then strengthen with younger players.
Sorry, Jeff. Would you like to see anybody come in, and what position?
Yeah, I'd like to see like an attacking winger come in. I think.
Any names? Any names?
No, I can't think anyone off the top of my head, but I'd like to see another attacking player come in, preferably someone on the wing. I think sometimes Tadic, you know, he has a good game, he has a bad game, but he needs a bit of support. Maybe needs someone that he gives him competition.
Yeah.
Could well be Buffal this season.
Could be.
But I do agree with what someone was saying. You know, if you sign too many players,
yeah,
where they're going to come into the team, because obviously if you've got a few youngsters you're going to bring into the team and they're decent, you don't want to not give them a chance because you signed too many players. So I think 1 or 2, but that's about it.
Yeah. I think just going back on the thing where we said about strikers, obviously, if we're looking to keep Sam and then we buy another striker, that's 5 strikers for 1 position.
Yeah.
It's probably a bit, for me, that would be too imbalanced. But obviously, I don't run the club. It's down to
But
Pellegrini.
the thing is, normally if you look at international squads, you know, a lot of international squads will have 5 players in the squad of 22. That's what I always tend to, or 23. That's what I always tend to base it on, you know.
Yeah.
But I accept the point that obviously if there's only 1 striking berth, 5's a bit much. But I still.
It depends on the system, isn't it, and what we're going to go with.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what he does, because obviously we don't have the stereotypical target man.
No.
You know.
I'm going to move on to the next question, guys. In terms of league position, where would you rank the atmosphere at St Mary's, and is it time to do away with the "We Are the Southampton" song that is played before the game? I'm going to start off this time. I'm going to start off with Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I think the overall atmosphere at St Mary's, I'll describe it as average, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not what I remember it used to be. I think when we first moved to St Mary's, the Northern Stand were really noisy. Everyone was singing. They used to sing for like 20 minutes non-stop. And I don't know whether it's just a lot of the northern people in Northern got a bit older and they just maybe can't be bothered as much. But it doesn't seem to be the atmosphere it used to be. But I don't think it's a bad atmosphere. I'll just regard it as average. But then it is, you know, it's better than some.
What would you do to change it?
Well, I think if all fans, you know, got to be on their team and sung a little bit more, that would improve the atmosphere. But I think sometimes it's what's in front of you. When your team's performing for it and everything's going good, people get excited. People seem to get beyond team more. And maybe last season, with the style of play not to be into everyone's, what they choose to watch, and maybe a lot of people, the manager's personality didn't really rub off on the fans too well. Then maybe that had an effect on it. And maybe this new guy have a different personality, show his passion for the team more, and then that'll rub off on the fans, and then maybe they'll get behind him more.
Passion.
Because in previous seasons, I think one thing you've got to give credit to the Saints fan is that they've always got behind their manager. Yeah. They've always given a manager their chance. But or just for whatever reason, I just don't feel the fans as a whole, in general, really got behind the manager. I just don't think they ever took to him.
Yeah, they never took to
I don't think the fans and the manager ever had that relationship.
Right, I'm going to go to Mark now. What do you think of the "We Are Southampton" song?
Right, so just in terms of atmosphere, my thoughts would be, if it's Saturday or Sunday, 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock kickoff, then it would be, we're about mid-table in terms of atmosphere. But then, you know, we've all been to the away grounds, and I've got to say, I think we're being a bit critical on our own here, because I've got to say, I can think of at least 12 Premier League grounds that's worse than our own atmospheres, to be honest.
Yeah,
And that's being totally honest.
I did say that we're better than some.
Yeah, and
I did say we were average.
yeah. But the other thing that I would say is under the lights, our atmosphere actually goes up.
Yeah, it does.
If you play under the floodlights, our atmosphere actually goes up, and I would put it about 7th place
That probably happens with
when it comes
most
to
teams,
the
though, doesn't it?
floodlights. But going back to the We Are Southampton song, it doesn't work. The whole idea was to generate an atmosphere. It kills any atmosphere that the Saints fans are trying to generate before kick-off.
It's so in my opinion, it's so cheesy and it's so outdated, and in my opinion, it just needs to go. What's your opinion, Matt?
My opinion's a little bit different. I think, especially where I am in the north, it kind of has the desired effect, but for the wrong reason, if that kind of makes sense. And what I mean is that people don't seem to like the song, so they try and sing over it and try and deliberately, make it so that they're shouting louder than the song, and actually that creates an atmosphere in itself. It might not have been the desired way they wanted it, but I think it has actually got people singing and chanting a bit more before the game starts. That's just my opinion. That's where I am in the Northern, but I know it has really divided opinion.
Would you like to add any more, Jeff, on this?
Well, I was sitting here thinking, actually, I quite like the song. Sometimes I get it in my head and I start singing it at work or something. I actually do quite like it.
Just as a side point, it was recorded in these studios.
You do know, by the way, you do know that it is basically a Frank Sinatra song, don't you?
Yeah.
It's not, that's what you're thinking about, Jeff. It's not actually the song. They are songs.
No, I actually sing the Southampton version.
I mean, the thing for me is, we'll have a song. It's called When the Saints Go Marching In. That is our song.
I'll
That's
sing
our
that,
song.
I'll sing that sometimes as well.
We don't need any of our songs to generate. Because is it not false if you're actually trying to generate an atmosphere and you're actually drowning out the people that are looking to generate an atmosphere before kick-off anyway?
Well, I say in the Northern, it seems to have the opposite effect. I don't know. It's just where I sit.
If they just played the song When the Saints before kick-off, that would get everyone going, wouldn't
exactly.
it? Yeah.
That's the thing.
I would say, it was a song that Jose Fonte created and then he left. So, in my opinion, it needs to go.
Bits to it as well.
Shane Long, Ryan Bertram and Stephen Davis were responsible for contributing bits and pieces to it as well.
Alright, I'm going to go on to the next question. So the new home kit and away kits are out. What are your opinions? Are they winners or losers? I'm going to start off with Mark first.
Okay, so I know it's not stripes, and I know that's a big issue for people out there, and I know it's commercialism gone mad because they know that the kit will sell, right? But I've got to be honest, and I've got to say, I love it. It was my favourite era. It was when we had the best team, 81, 82, take a pick, and I just love having that shirt off. I just sit there and I think to myself, I know I shouldn't, right? I should be sitting here saying, no, I'm a traditionalist, and you know how awkward I can be at times. But I love the shirt. I embrace the shirt. The home shirt is just fantastic. And the other thing that I wanted to say was, the away shirt is growing on me as well, because I've found out that if you put it under ultraviolet light, it's red and white stripes.
Yeah, you invert the colours.
Well, I'm going to say what my opinion of it is now. Personally, I don't like the home kit. I think it's kind of just like a retro kit, and to me, charging a fan 50 quid for a retro kit, it's like, it's the club just making the money. And the away kit, having a look, I was like a fan of it, and then when I saw it up close in person, I was like, oh, it's a bit not very attractive. To me, I won't go out and buy it neither, but knowing me, I'll probably towards the end of the season get it on sale. But anyways, I'm going to go on to Matt.
Yeah, I'm not a fan myself. I understand why the club did it, and I can understand why a lot of fans absolutely love it, but not for me. And it's not necessarily because it's not stripes. I really loved the block red kit of 13-14, so it's not to do with the stripes necessarily.
Really?
But yeah, I don't know. It's just not for me. I do like the away one. It's not my favourite away kit, but out of the two, definitely prefer the away kit.
Now, in the studio, Jeff's wearing the shirt, the home shirt. Now I'm going to ask him what his opinion of it is.
And looking very resplendent.
Yeah, I like the shirt a lot actually. I like the retro element of it.
It kind of goes well with your hat.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, I do like the shirt a lot. I like the retro element of it. The 80s kind of things seem to be in fashion quite a lot at the moment, and I think we had some good players in the 80s, so it's kind of traditional.
We had a team.
I like it.
What do you make of the away kit anyway, Jess?
Different.
Have you gone out and bought it?
I have.
Oh.
It's different, but I like it because it's different. And I've not seen a kit like that before, really. But it looks okay.
Did you know the ultraviolet thing? If you put it on the
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Going to be going home tonight and try it.
Come and check it out, Jeff.
I
You got
will
to check it out.
do.
I actually really like the second keeper kit. It's sort of like it's almost pink, isn't it? It's like all between pink and purple. Quite like that, but apparently it's not on sale. I know the first keeper kit is, which is green.
Is it not going on sale?
I don't know. I don't officially, but it wasn't in the shop when I went to have a look.
There is a proviso there, because you do know that even with those two kits, there's going to be a clash during the season. So don't be surprised if the club bring out a third kit
It's going to be
and that doesn't go on sale
No,
again.
I think it'd be Palace away that would struggle with that. I think.
Yeah.
Just another very quick point I found really funny is they've actually stopped selling the retro kit, because they used to sell the retro kit that this kit was based on, and they've stopped selling that in the shop now.
There'll be a few upset people. I know other people that were going to buy the retro.
I reckon there's people that are at the club or in the shirt making department, whatever you call them, that have gone. Actually, people will just try and get out of money by buying the 20 quid retro shirt rather than the 50
so
quid
you're
new one.
suggesting that was delivered, are you? Removing from the
yes,
club
I
shop?
am. I'm going to stick my neck out and say that was probably deliberate.
Okay.
I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I like the training kits a bit more than the actual home kit and the away kit. So I'm thinking of going out and buying that rather than going out and getting the home kit. I think to charge a fan like £50 for that home kit, and it's like you can just probably go on eBay and try and get
Buy
it
a retro one.
and buy a retro one. And it's criminal in my opinion.
Just very quickly, go on.
On the training kit.
Could I just make a very quick point in relation to saying about the price of the football kits?
Yeah.
My Hedge Rangers shirt was £25, and it's actually made by the same company who made Aston Villa's shirt the other season when they were in the Premiership. Same material, Macron, and it's half the price.
I just don't understand why they charge £50 for like a kit. No way should they be charging like a fan that sort of money, in my opinion.
But it just proves the markup on the prices of how much profit someone's making out of you when you buy the shirt.
But I mean, it's a conglomerate really, because all the clubs are charging basically the same price.
Yeah.
It's not like different clubs are charging different prices, so it's a difficult one. But I agree. I mean, I especially agree if you've got kids.
I just want to ask a very quick point, because they've changed the design of the lettering and numbers for this season as well. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I haven't.
So they're meant to be a bit bolder. So, maybe that might have been why there's less stripes, shall we say. Still on the back, it's still obviously red on the outer edge, but it might have been that because they've had to change the lettering and the numbering across the Premier League. That I don't know that. There may have been. But I haven't seen other kits of other clubs, so other clubs that use stripes might have not have got a play in the back. I don't know, but
I look forward to seeing the numbers then when I see them.
It's not that much different, but they have made a change to it.
Right, to wrap up the show, guys, the last question. Jan Benedict, Saints' first summer signing, what do you make of it? And I'm going to go to Jeff.
Yeah, he sounds like he's an exciting young player. Someone from work was telling me he's supposed to be pretty good, one of the best young players coming from Poland at the moment. Whether he can prove himself at Premier League level remains to be seen. But the signs are good. Everything I've heard is positive. It seems to fit the club's kind of way of signing young players. Got plenty of time on his side, and hopefully the opportunity's there for him to get in the team, play regularly, and develop as a player, and he can prove a good signing for us.
Like, to me, I have issues just pronouncing his name. I don't know why, so I'm not too sure about him. If I can't pronounce somebody's name, I'm just like, I'm just going to call him Jan. It's just easier. Yeah. So, what do you make of Jan, Matt?
Again, don't know loads. I did watch him in the under-21 tournament this summer. Obviously played against England, played against some of our lads. But yeah, I don't really know. And obviously because he's been doing that tournament, he's not come back to the squad yet. He's obviously been allowed to make some time. So it'll be interesting to see what he's like in training and in pre-season.
Do you think you'll have game time at Saints with like having Yoshida, Van Dijk, Suarez, and
again, it's obviously
Bertrand?
It's obviously an investment for the future rather than right here, right now. But they obviously think they can get a lot of potential out of him. So if he gets sort of some game time this season, maybe a squad rotation or something, I don't know. Great, and they've obviously bought him because they see decent potential in him for the future.
And the last person I'm going to ask is Mark to wrap up the show.
From what I've seen of him, I would say he's definitely a ball-playing centre half. So he's good with the ball at his feet. Distribution's good, which Saints seem to like at the moment in their centre halves. In terms of actually playing, I find it hard to see where he would play. I mean, Les Raven was signed him, definitely said he was one for the future. I also seen him in the European Championships, and I wasn't overly impressed. So I'm one of the ones that would say I'm prepared to be convinced, and I hope he does come good for us.
In my opinion, I think Matt Targett and players like that should be given a chance over him. Do you think, and Sam McQueen as well, do you reckon they should be given chances in the club?
Well, it's obviously where he's going to play, isn't it? I thought he was a centre-back.
Yeah, he's a centre-back.
So obviously, over the full-back's not sure. But again, we've got decent competition for two centre-back positions now. So
there's one thing I want to say about that, Kevin, is we had a team of scouts go out to the European Championships. Ross Wilson was out there, and so was Bill Green. And I just want to say that I hope that when they were out there, because there was 4 of them went out, I hope when they were out there, they were looking at just more than Jan Benedict, because they were out there for a while. So, I'm hoping maybe that, in time, we might be signing 1 or 2 other under-21 internationals.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up now, guys. This is Under the Halo. I would like to say thank you to Matt Stewart, Jeff and Mark. Is there anything you would like to add before we go?
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys.
Thank you much, guys. You all take care.
We hope you enjoyed what we had to say on this session of Under the Halo. It might be our voices on the mics, but remember, it's your voices that really count on getting this podcast out to the fans. So please recommend us to your friends and other supporters to follow our social media. If you want to get in touch, find us on Facebook and Twitter at UnderTheHalo1 or use the hashtag UTHalo. You can also email us at underthehalo1@yahoo.com. Until next time, come on you Saints!